Welcome, friends. This is Brian Hudson. Welcome to another conversation. We call this Conversations in Focus here on Vision Stream Network. And I am so pleased to have today a man and a friend who's doing tremendous work in our community, Mr. Jefri Payne. Welcome, Jefri.
Thank you, sir, for having me.
We're going to get right into this discussion. I've been looking forward to speaking with you. And you are, as you say in your bio, a Christian, husband, father, teacher, musician, and businessman. That's the proper order as well.
Yes, sir.
And you are a smooth jazz and inspirational jazz artist. We've had you at our church, and I've heard you. I bought you music. My first question is, how did you start in music, and who and what are your inspirations?
I started playing trumpet at age 12 in 1982 in the 7th grade at Bailey Middle School in Gary, Indiana. My director was Bruce Evans. He's a gentleman that's alive today, and he and I stay in touch on Facebook. My inspiration was growing up in Gary and listening to all the fabulous music of the 70s and the 80s. And my father, before he passed, was a great lover of music. And like most people, collected volumes of music, albums from big band era, Duke Ellington, all the way up through the 60s and 70s Motown artists and Earth, Wind & Fire and Stevie Wonder and so forth. So I grew up listening to a lot of that music throughout my years. That's
great. You mentioned that. In fact, my parents, I grew up here in the city, and my parents were on the Avenue.
Yes, sir.
At the jazz clubs. You know about the Avenue?
I know about the Avenue.
Okay. Well, I mean, my parents knew West Montgomery.
Wow.
Earl Gardner.
Yes, sir.
And I actually went to the club with them. they took me in there to the clean club, so to speak. And I cut my teeth on jazz music. I didn't play, but I love jazz music. And so we listened to J.J. Johnson and all those great old school jazz artists. So I have appreciation. So speaking with you about this is very exciting to me. Now, why the horn?
Why the horn? When I joined the band in 1982, our director gave us a little card and said, fill out your top 3 choices. And so I picked alto sax, trumpet, and then trombone. Well, alto sax had pretty much been taken. It was a pretty popular instrument. And trumpet was available. And I didn't know much about trombone, but I just thought I'd write it down. And so my mother went out and bought an old used cornet from a pawn shop for like $75. And I played that cornet from 7th through 9th grade. And really enjoyed playing that. And when I became a sophomore in high school, I played trumpet. My aunt had given me my cousin's trumpet who had stopped playing. And so I just elected to stay with the trumpet. And that's been a great instrument for me.
Now, I played trombone. And I think that people have different aptitudes for different instruments. I mean, were your lips oriented and fixed and ready to play trumpet, or do you have a struggle to learn how to play trumpet?
It's funny you should ask. My older sister would tell you that I was not quite acclimated to play the trumpet initially because she would say I sounded like an old sick duck. And so Chrissy Inez Payne feels, if you're out there, yes. But she talked about me as I was struggling to learn to play the trumpet and get a good sound out. But over time, I developed a pretty good sound.
Now, your trumpet is here, and what type of trumpet is this?
This is a Getzen 770 SP, and it's what's called a step-up trumpet, near professional level trumpet, and I call it GG for Getzen. And it's a wonderful horn, nice clear sound. The mouthpiece, if you notice, is gold, gold-plated. It's a Monette mouthpiece. I believe it's called a BLS-1 mouthpiece. It's valued at about $300.
Wow.
To put it in perspective, most common mouthpieces you get would cost about $50 or so, but that particular one runs about $300. And it was a gift. A friend of mine named David Grider Jr. Had given me a gift certificate from the Monette factory, which is located out in Oregon, I believe it is. And I inquired about the mouthpiece, and they asked what type of specifications I wanted, and wanted something that would provide a warm sound, lots of resonance, soft rim for endurance, and shallow cup for range. And the combination of that mouthpiece and this horn has really been beneficial.
Jeff, let's talk about your work as an educator as well as a musician. How do these blend, education and music?
I'm currently in my 23rd year of teaching. I started teaching in February of 1994. And I've had a variety of experiences teaching high school, middle school, and now elementary, teaching in urban and suburban schools. So I've had a chance to work with a wide range of socioeconomic clientele, if you will. And teaching and being a performer, they kind of go hand in hand because in my room there's a sign that I posted back in 2011. It says, "Be ye professional, for I am professional." And as you know, we take that from the Bible, "Be ye holy, for I am holy." But I encourage the students to be professional in their approach to learning. If I have to be a highly effective teacher, I expect them to be highly effective learners and highly effective students. And so I give them those tools to be successful, entering the room quietly, getting their supplies quickly, taking their seat immediately. If you ever come to our concerts or visit one of our rehearsals, you notice the students are sitting up straight, bringing their horns up together, and I've got band and orchestra at this particular elementary school. So I've got grades 4, 5, and 6 playing wind and string instruments.
Wow.
And I share with them some of my professional experiences as well about the gigs that I play here locally and places that I've visited and how that's impacted me. So they have an idea of what the professionalism aspect is.
Have you seen over the years that some youth just kind of shine, they exhibit talent and aptitude? Have you had some to come through that almost were prodigy level students?
Yes. I would say within the last 5 years, I had a flute player named Jasmine Gill who started with me, and she's now at high school and doing very well on flute, and another girl named Deja Bostic, and I hope they're watching. And I was really proud of her as well, as she took to the trumpet right away, and she's now in high school. They're both at Lawrence North and doing really well with the high school band programs there.
That flute is a beautiful instrument. I mean, the sound of it, you cannot synthesize, not easily. And of course, the trumpet itself is a very unique instrument as well. We have, you know, synthesizers and keyboards, but trumpet is just very unique. The sound of a trumpet, what do you think about the sound? You know, what is it about the sound of the trumpet that really captivates your attention?
The brilliance of the sound of the trumpet, I've always been, I guess, appealed to or attracted to. And I also go for a smooth quality. There's several trumpet players that have inspired me with the trumpet. Chris Bodie is a professional trumpet player, a world-renowned trumpet player, and his sound is unlike any other. It's very smooth, warm, and buttery. And so that's something that I kind of go for. Inspired by Miles Davis, of course, with bebop. Inspired by Herb Alpert with his writing, because he's able to write timeless melodies. The song "Rise" is something that he wrote back in 1979, I believe it is, and I actually play that song with one of the groups that I play with, and it's a timeless melody that no matter how long ago it was composed, you'll recognize it and you can kind of sing along with it.
Let's talk now about your music. What are you working on? Projects you're working on? What's out now we can listen to and purchase?
Well, the things that are out right now, of course, is my first CD called Smoothed Out, and it's a compilation of songs that I wrote between 2008 and 2012, and I released that, I believe, in 2014 or so, and so that's available now. So if you were to inbox me or contact me, I can get that out to you. There are 2 singles that are out now on cdbaby.com, Midnight Dance and Free and Clear. Those 2 songs I have some sneak preview videos for, and you can see those on YouTube. And those are available via digital copies there, again, at cdbaby.com.
You've been listening to a little snippet from Running by Jefri Payne. Let's watch now and listen to a song entitled Night Groove. I say watch because I had the honor to film this video for Jefri and a couple years ago. And so let's watch this video, Night Groove. you've been listening to and watching some of the music by Jefri Payne. Talk to us about the inspiration for Running and Night Groove.
The song Running was one of the first songs that I had written back in 2008, and it was in part, I guess, subliminally inspired by a song called The Tiger of San Pedro. And there's a chord progression that appears in Running. So if you're a music type and you look up Tiger of San Pedro, you'll hear that special chord progression. I won't give it all away, but some of their marching bands back in the 80s, and I know my daughter's college, Jackson State University, Sonic Boom of the South, they sometimes play that tune. And Night Groove, I was inspired by that when I had gone into the studio with my friend Tim Ragland. And before every session, he would share some of the things he's working on. And so there's the opening chord progression that you would hear in Night Groove, which was actually his little snippet. He says, man, this is nothing. I was just messing around. And he played that for me. And I said, that's it. That's nice. Let's loop that. Wow. And so we created a whole piece based on the opening four bar chord progression.
Wow, that's amazing to hear these stories, how music comes into being and how you're inspired and other people come along and encourage you and inspire you. All right, let me ask you this question. How do you find that music helps people in listening and, you know, for those who are believers in Christ? How does it help them, minister to them? Is anybody in general, how does it encourage people? Why is music so powerful in this regard?
Well, one of the first things I learned as a music education student at Indiana University, I believe my professor was Dr. Michael Gordon, and he asked us a very pointed question: why do we teach music? And we're all thinking, you know, well, to teach students to, you know, play instruments and to expand their musical horizon and so forth. He said those are all good answers, but you're really teaching aesthetic sensitivity. Aesthetic sensitivity. Wow. So to teach students to be aware of what they're listening to and to appreciate the different sounds. And it's not so much about a chord or a note, but it's the succession and progression of chords and notes that help to evoke emotions and make one ponder and reminisce the dissonances in the chords and then the resolution. So when you hear dissonance and consonance, the tension and release in music helps to express what a person may be feeling or a thought that you're trying to express as well.
Wow, that's deep. But it makes sense.
Yes, sir.
And the progression piece, yeah, I get that, you know. Obviously, the progression affects, you know, how you perceive the mood of the music, and I watch a movie and pick up progressions in the soundtracks and all that's amazing.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing. All right, let me ask you this question next. Speak to young people and parents about the importance of identifying and developing musical ability.
That's a great question and something that I'm really excited to answer. There is a public stat out that says that over 80% of all doctors and lawyers have some form of music training. And there's been a correlation between the way the brain works and how they function during music. And so it helps with overall brain development. I think it helps with confidence and self-expression. And one of the things I've also learned to appreciate is that as students have an instrument that they play, that's something that they can have for the rest of their life. No one could ever take that away from them. Once you start in music, once you learn to love and appreciate music, you can always play and you know, study and learn and write and compose. Also, it's good in the way of scholarship opportunities. I've got two daughters who are currently at Jackson State University, and the bulk of their tuition is being paid for through their music. Wow. My older daughter, Taylor Payne, plays trombone, and she marches with the Sonic Boom of the South. And basically, school's paid for. They treat their musicians like athletes with regards to the respect and the scholarship opportunities. And so really excited about what that's been doing for her. And then my next daughter, Jordan, plays the violin. She plays in the orchestra at Jackson State University, and she gets financial credit and opportunities for those as well.
Wow. Well, what's the wife doing? Is she playing to the whole family? Like?
Well, I'm kind of like Joe Jackson, if you will, and the Jackson Five. We've got 5 children, so everybody plays an instrument. Wow. My oldest son, who's currently 23 years old, played alto sax.
Wonderful.
And Taylor, of course, trombone. Jordan is violin. I just started my second to youngest daughter, Danielle, on trumpet. So I got her trumpet for Christmas, so it was a really good investment. She's at home practicing right now. As I was leaving out, she was practicing. And then my youngest daughter, Paige, just started violin. And, of course, I teach music and play trumpet. And my wife was a vocal teacher for many, many years. And she sings. And so we're going to take this act on the road.
Man, we're looking for an album at some point from the Payne family. You know, the Payne Five, the Payne Six.
The Payne Five.
The Payne Five.
From Gary, Indiana.
That would work.
Right.
Now, what about this? What's the state of the arts in schools? Now, your school is doing well. You're there. Well, what's your perception of the state of the arts in school, in our community? Are we doing enough to encourage young people in the arts and music?
I would say so. I know in Lawrence Township, it's one of the nationally recognized townships in the country that really serves students in the performing arts. We've got great band programs, orchestra programs, choral programs. Also, we've got dance that's offered at my school and some of the others in our district. And so the state of music and music education in Lawrence Township is strong, and throughout central Indiana, really. Some of the best bands in the country are located right here in central Indiana. We've got Avon High School. I've got a friend there named Matt Harloff, who's one of the directors out there, and they've got one of the best marching bands in the country. Of course, Carmel's always doing well. Center Grove, of course. I'll get in trouble for dropping names and things like this, but we're really proud of all of our schools here in Indiana, and states like Texas and Florida and California, they're all doing well. But I can safely say that in Indiana, and central Indiana especially, music education is really strong.
All right, how about the churches? Are the churches doing enough to encourage the arts and music in your view?
We've got great musicians at church, great vocalists, great instrumentalists that play. I'd like to see them include our youth more. I think it would be helpful to take a survey of which students in the congregation actually play instruments, because you've got students who are in band, orchestra, and choir, and just invite them to come out one night. If the adults have adult Bible study, maybe we can have all the students bring their instruments and go in a different room and just kind of assess what they're able to do individually, and maybe even arrange some of the music that's being used with the praise singers and the choirs, and have modified parts for them where they can sit in with the praise band, which is on a professional level, but the students can play a modified part that would help them feel involved and engaged, and help them to want to come out and participate in church music ministry.
Now, that is a brilliant insight, Jeffrey, because if that could happen, it would attach youth to music and to the church. It
Yes.
would identify the church as the source of inspiration, or a source. This has been a great discussion, speaking with Jefri Payne. The stage name is Jeff Payne. As a matter of fact, you've had on the screen, you see there his addresses, Facebook, CD Baby address, Reverb Nation. So be sure to visit those sites. You want to listen to and purchase his music. We also will post scheduling information. You can contact Jeffrey for engagements. But let me ask you now, Jeffrey, talk about the people you work with and the groups you want to acknowledge right now.
Well, I'm a proud member of the smooth jazz group called In the Moment. In the Moment is an 8-piece band, basically, of some of the most incredible musicians here in Indianapolis. We've got our band leader is William Turner, Bill Turner, who plays bass. Our two keyboard players are Robert Henry and Tim Ragland. Our lead guitarist is Chuck Hipskind. Our auxiliary percussionist is Chris Hull. And our newest drummer is Stephen Ragland, and our vocalist is Ron Tucker. And we play a lot of corporate events. We do concerts here locally, and looking to do some touring, trying to get to London, and also trying to get to the North Sea Jazz Festival. This group covers a lot of smooth jazz songs. We do R&B classics, and we do rearrangements of these songs. And so you'll hear the song initially, and you're like, oh, I know that song. And after about 32 bars, we take it down a rabbit hole and just totally rearrange it and mix it up. So it's some unique stuff going on within the moment. And coming up, we've got a performance at the Hyatt downtown in Indianapolis. We've played all the major venues, and looking forward to doing more here locally and nationally. I also have the Jeff Payne Trio, which is myself on trumpet, and the keyboard player is Robert Henry, who's also a member of In the Moment, and our drummer is Ralph Hankerson. And so the three of us do a lot of weddings, receptions, cocktail hours, and all that's kind of a part of Jefri Payne Entertainment. And our specialty is providing elegant live music for upscale events. And so if you or someone you know is looking for an elegant touch of class to your event, be sure to contact me, and we'll be sure to be there to provide that for you.
Let's talk, Jefri, now about the state of the arts in our city. What do you see in our community? How can we improve that state of arts among our young people in the community?
Indianapolis is really home to some of the most incredible musicians, instrumentalists, vocalists, dancers, thespians in the country. There are too many people to name, but I will drop a few names like Rob Dixon, Brian Thompson, just to name a few, of course. And there are a multitude of others, and anyone who watches the program has their favorite musicians as well, but they're all right here. And most times we think about New York, LA, Chicago, Atlanta, and other major hubs for the performing arts, but Indianapolis, Indiana is alive and well. I'd like to see attendance better at some of the local concerts. It's hard to get a room filled around here, and but I do notice that when our artists go out to different cities and states and countries, they're well received because they're focusing on the competence of that musician or of that performer. And I think once those musicians get a name and then they come back, they can be better appreciated. But I would just encourage everyone here in the city of Indianapolis, Central Indiana, and in the state of Indiana to just support local artists that you see who are doing well and who are taking that step to be a professional performer.
Well, thank you, Jefri. You've been listening to Jefri Payne here on Conversations in Focus on the Vision Stream Network. What do you want to say now, Jefri, to our listeners and viewers?
Well, I'd like to, again, just introduce myself. My name is Jefri Payne, and I am a jazz trumpet player. I used to say I'm a smooth jazz trumpet player, but I try to just focus now on expanding and stepping outside the box. And I hope that you all will come out and support me and all the other local performing artists here in Central Indiana. My trio, the Jefri Payne Trio, and In the Moment Smooth Jazz Group will be playing a lot of concerts here locally and nationally. So if you hear about anything we're doing here locally, do come out and support, and you won't be disappointed.
Well, thank you again, Jefri Payne. And again, go to the websites you see on the screen below you. Visit those sites, listen to the music, buy the music, enjoy the music. Again, thank you for watching this episode of Conversations in Focus. We'll come back next time with more insightful people with insightful stories. So you stay with us. God bless.